So I talk about plenty of time travel shows, but only one of them actually has my first named effect, the firestorm effect. We'll talk about that more as this goes up. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing the first half of this season of Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2. Now, as a huge comic book fan, there's a lot of things I can say that are good and bad about this, but there's a lot to unpack, and before I do, I just want to ask you to like and share this video, because I guess liking it early helps it out. Overall, the first half of Season 2, I'm giving a silver. It's got some really great points, and you know what, I really love the fact that Legends is willing to take chances that a lot of the other superhero shows don't, but it's also got some wrong with it. However, be careful for spoilers in case you haven't seen the whole first half of the season, and then we're going to get right into this. Legends, like I said, has some of the great characters and has taken some big chances. Foremost among them is the Legion of Doom. They did a lot of foreshadowing with them, and we've heard a lot about them in the background, but we only really got to see them together, well, 3 of them, in the mid-season break. So for now, I'm going to leave them out of this. So let's get started with the good. And of course, anyone that watched any of my reviews knows exactly where I'm starting with the good, and that's the great. The Great Justice Society, oh my god! Totally geeking out, they did it so perfectly. I just wish they had had Our Man use his powers, but even that, I mean, Stargirl and Obsidian using his were way beyond anything I could have ever hoped for as a kid. I'm just still totally geeking out at the Justice Society of America. And then, as much as it's an ensemble cast, I'm going to call out 3 of the cast members as the best parts of the good. And we're going to start with Sarah Lance, the White Canary, Black Canary. I fell in love with her on Arrow. I think she's still the best Black Canary we've seen. And you know what? She's just so badass. Katie Lotz steals like every scene she's in. Okay, but I said 3. And you know what? Firestorm make up the other 2. Now, I'm going to later, and I have already called Firestorm himself out as being a major problem, but the 2 actors that make him up are so perfect. I have a little bit of an issue with Jax, but to be honest, it's not the actor's fault, it's the writer's. The whole ensemble brings a lot to the table. The only other actor I'm going to call out at all, though, is the one of Heatwave, and I'm calling out the character as well. I don't know if it's the pure personality that the actor brings, or if it's something with the way they write the character, but Heatwave has also stolen my heart to a lesser extent. However, it doesn't end there. We continue talking about characters as we talk about the bad. And it's with a heavy heart. One as heavy as Dwarf Star Alloy that I bring up, Ray Palmer, the Atom. He was doing really good through part of the season, but you know what? That suit is a crutch, and I honestly think they should have left it destroyed when it was destroyed. He already brings too much to the table and suffers from the firestorm effect time and time again, but when he didn't have the suit, they could go to him as the science guy. And shrinking is really the only thing he needs. If he had made a belt instead of the suit, I think things would have been better. The next bad is a funny one. I think they don't use Jonah Hex. They have access to him, they use him a little bit. Man, he is such a great asset they should be using more often. And then to transition to someone they should be using less often. Vixen. You know what? When they first said they were bringing Vixen on, I was excited. I liked the character as portrayed in Arrow. However, then they decided that they couldn't bring in that actress. They had to bring in her grandmother as a member of the JSA. And the JSA is a total win, right? Well, almost. The character of Vixen ends up being very muddied, and I don't like the fact that they don't know what they're doing with her. One episode, she's the expert superhero giving lectures, the one who was able to go undercover in Nazi friggin' Paris. The next episode, she's not able to understand that sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and the slaves have to be saved because, I mean, seriously, she should have given that explanation to Firestorm, not Firestorm having to give it to her. She's a trained spy. She's also someone who's trained to work with other superheroes. Why is it she's so bad at working with other superheroes? Now, I'm not going to say it's all bad with her. One of the funniest things about her character is her and Heatwave trying to decide which ones are going to be the influence on the other. Is he a bad influence on her, or is she a good influence on him? Maybe a little bit of both. And then we move on to the ugly. And I think we all know where I'm going to start with the ugly. The Firestorm effect. Not specifically Firestorm the character, but the effect I've named for him. Over and over I notice it. Firestorm's just the easiest one to point to. The writers don't know what they're doing with the character. Oh no, this situation could be handled so easily. So they just write the character out of the scene. And I'm not going to say that it's just the Berlantiverse or just this show. Flash does it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does it, comic books do it. The firestorm effect is nothing new. It's just become more apparent as I've watched Legends of Tomorrow that it's a bigger issue on this show, because I constantly get the feeling that the writers write the episode thinking only about the story itself, which isn't bad, but then they then try to fit the characters in without actually considering, hey, wait a minute, wouldn't a guy that shrinks, wouldn't a guy that transmutes, wouldn't a super spy assassin be a instant win in this situation? Now, to be fair to the show, they've already figured out exactly how comic books have handled this over the years. Let's put super-powered bad guys against them. And you know what? When Reverse Flash ripped Martin Stein away before he could merge, I'm like, yes, a firestorming that isn't firestorming. Of course, as soon as they do that, we have the fact that they forget that Stein and Jax have a mental connection, and shouldn't Jax have been like, hey, wait, this isn't Gray? I don't have a mental connection to him. Even me geeking out over the JSA fell into this. Is it a coincidence that Obsidian and Stargirl were the ones knocked unconscious? One final ugly point, and you know what? I have to say I feel kind of bad saying this because I'm a big proponent of going with the comic books. But oh my god, that comic book costume on Steel, of all of them, he looks the worst. All in all, I like The Legends of Tomorrow. In fact, it's one of my favorite shows out there right now to be reviewing. It's one of those ones that I think has a lot of potential, and I think they're doing a lot of really great stuff. They write really good superhero action pieces. They have at least some base idea of what it means to do a time travel story, and they have some great interpersonal stuff. And on a personal note, I think the fact that they write some of the most kick-ass characters on TV is a major plus. I do think that there's some potential that needs to be rounded out a little and a little bit of work to be put in, but especially after that mid-season finale, I'm very optimistic. If you'd like to see more about my videos and my opinions on these things, give me a subscribe, a like, a share, and a comment so that we can build a community, and then we can take a walk through the heart of the stories we tell. Thanks for watching.